Hello and welcome to another video. So this is my unlimited Tenko craft deck. This is a deck that has done exceptionally well for me. I've been able to use it to climb unlimited extremely well. If you've checked out any of my streams, it is a deck I've been playing quite frequently there. I have been using the unlimited climbing system because it's just a little bit easier to do overall, especially since you can play pretty much anything. So the grind isn't quite as bad when it comes to personal play. But of course, rotation, you can obviously climb as well. It just depends. You have to go in with a completely different mindset, in my opinion. But this deck does really well. Of course, the main targets are Tenko Shrine. If you checked out any of my other Tenko videos, you'll know that Tenko Shrine is quite a powerful card, at least in the last month or so. It's been doing exceptionally well. We do have double Holy Bowman Kill, which does a great job at picking off just that little bit extra damage. We are running triple black in Scripture, and a single Pure Annihilation. This is your only counter to things like B&B. Sorry, and what's the other card? Mordecai, which you will see a epic game of. It is going to be exceptionally long though, so we will only cover that as the last game, so you guys can check that out. We are running a single White Fang Temple. I have been debating on whether to go with the White Fang Temples over the Pegasus Sculptures. Still haven't decided whether I want to do just this kind of mixture and just mess with the numbers, or go purely one or the other. I am debating on the Sledgehammer Exorcist because it's a semi-good card. It's got good removal potential, but I don't know whether I want to dump one Sledgehammer Exorcist and put in one more Pure Annihilation or not. It's just a debatable kind of change that I want to make. Then everything else is just pretty much healing or draw focused. Of course, that's pretty much all you need at this point. You either want to be healing or drawing cards. That's it. There's nothing more complicated to that. So we're going to get right into this video and check it out. So the two games I am going to show you today are both against Shadow, mainly because for some reason I come up against about 4 or 5 Shadows in a row when I was making this video, and one against basically all of them. So I get to pick the best games I think that I would like to, or at least the most interesting ones. So obviously you're playing the same style no matter what deck you're playing against. It doesn't matter whether it's Shadow, it doesn't matter whether it's Sword, for example. You're always going in with the exact same mindset of playing the cards in the exact same order. So, Globe is a perfect turn 1 play, turn 2 is going to be dominated by something like Morian, and then Jeweled Princess on 3. At least that would be the normal aim, unless I decide I wanted to use the Black in Scripture. But this is where things do get a little different between matchups, because against Shadow you want to be holding your Black Scriptures and any other banished card for as long as you can, realistically, without obviously losing too much value off them. Just because you want to be able to deal with something like Mordecai. Same principle for Forest. If you realize you're coming up against a neutral Forest, you want to be holding your banishes to deal with B&B. And of course, D-Shift is a matchup that this deck does tend to lose to pretty consistently, although it doesn't mean an instant loss. You've just got to try and be as aggressive as you can be against D-Shift if you want a chance at winning. And those 3 matchups honestly round out the worst 3 matchups for this deck. Everything else is actually pretty standard. I mean, even things like Atomy aren't a bad matchup. They are just a little bit harder. And of course we get a pretty nice hand. Since I had so much draw power and so many cards, I wasn't concerned with using Black Diamond here over the White Diamond. Sometimes you do want to go for that Black Diamond play over the White Diamond play, and I am starting to lean more towards mixing it up. I used to focus mainly on the White Diamond play, but I am getting more and more in favor of this White Diamond being able to heal us and get us the damage, so why not?
Let me ease your pain.
So there is our Healing Angel. Unfortunately, didn't get the hit I wanted. I would have preferred to have hit either of the 1/4s, honestly, or even the 5/6 would have been a good hit.
War is such sorrow.
But I did use a banish here just to remove something that had extremely high stats. I felt like that was the best line of play for me in this turn. Unfortunately, that does mean I am opening myself up to a potential future Mordecai, but it was something I was definitely willing to take the risk on. So my opponent does begin to pump the board. I mean, getting this aggression out with Cerberus and just really trying to hit me hard. Luckily, Thermise is a perfect 6-drop here, clearing out their entire board with no issue at all, and next turn we can mainly focus on our healing, which with the cards we've got is going to be fairly decent. Of course, White Fang Temple isn't something I want to use here, just because I have got Pegasus Sculptures, which means I can use more than one Pegasus Sculpture over a White Fang Temple, unless I was trying to push the White Fang Temple for that kind of end game play. Then I would favour it. Plus, Pegasus Sculpture is cheaper than White Fang when it comes to Vial cost, so Pegasus Sculpture overall is more budget friendly at least. which this deck tends to do a good job at being pretty budget friendly, especially since you don't need legendaries for this deck at all in Unlimited. So we do well. We've got the Pegasus sculptures. They're not really doing anything too impressive at this point. They do get the 5 damage off that and set up their Lyrial Archer, so we are in a, I would say, dangerous spot, but nothing that we can't handle. All we need to do is remove this entire board and heal, and we will be good. And that's a pretty good start. I do decide to favour healing, of course. I don't want to get caught off guard and end up with some ridiculously bad hand here.
What are you doing?
And that ends the game. Once we cleared this board out, I guess, with no cards in hand, they would have been top decking, and that's not something they were willing to do. So now, guys, I recommend you strap in for a long game. This is a Mordecai matchup. It was one that was extremely tough, and you need to be very careful when you make plays against this deck, because winning and losing is the difference between both luck and skill. So you need to have some decent luck, but also be able to know exactly when you want to be playing cards and when to hold your cards, which you will see in this matchup fairly well. Of course, that doesn't mean I played every single turn perfectly. That just means I made the decisions that I thought were best for the situation and made them with informed knowledge of what I was playing against. So, Happy Pig, early drop. I like to have Happy Pig set up, especially against something like Shadow in the early game. And on turn 2, I'm pretty happy with it. So there is their Ceres Banish. Of course, this does lead me to believe it was most likely a Reanimate deck. Of course, whether it's a Zeus Atomy or just a normal Zeus, or whether it's just a Mordecai or a Kawi deck, it's really so many variations that it's hard to narrow it down to one. But you know the basic structure, so you know what to kind of counter and what to expect to counter, which is why holding Banishes is always good against a deck like this. So they did decide to kill off the Happy Pig. Expected that to happen. Not really an issue, it did just draw their damage away, and I can go for some damage myself. Deciding I need to be a little more aggressive before they can do any kind of big plays like next turn, where they'll probably be able to reanimate something. Which, as expected, third one, pretty good reanimate target.
I'm gonna borrow this. Scarlet roses are so commonplace.
And of course, the Ceres is going to be a little bit of a problem for us. We do want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. Those draws aren't bad, especially Sledgehammer Exorcist plus the Holy Water is going to work in our favour greatly. So we can remove the Ceres very easily, and we just use the Sledgehammer to get rid of the 1-2. We could have got rid of the 5-1 as well. It didn't really matter which order I did it in, because we were going to get the same value either way. I did decide to use the Rabbit Healer over the Holy Water, because the Rabbit Healer gives me the body on board and isn't obstructed at the moment, unlike the Holy Waters, which can hit anything regardless. Although I do lose the favour of the draw, which I'm not that concerned about. So I favoured the Monk of Purification, mainly because I had the hand space to do it this early, and I can get massive amount of value out of the Holy Waters in this regard. With 4 of them in hand, going into turn 7, all we need to do is last one more turn, and we get at least 8 heal and 8 damage. There's another Gloomy Necromancer, this time Mordecai. At this point, once I saw that Mordecai get done, I was pretty worried that it was going to be hard to deal with. So now it was just a matter of play the hand.
I'm gonna borrow this.
Let's do this right.
So being able to play this hand is going to be extremely important. I couldn't just throw the Pure Annihilation immediately, because I know that they're going to be playing something that's going to be tricky. So we first decided to push for any kind of draw power we have, cards that aren't going to be a problem. I did go for the Pegasus Sculpture, mainly just because I really wanted some form of healing on board, and if I have to deal with this Mordecai in some way, at least I can do it later.
The void, it beckons me.
Along with the Holy Water being able to draw me a card, that was kind of my idea right now. Just push as much draw as I can.
I am Belenus the Shining.
So Belenus the Shining gets banished, and Mordecai just pushes damage. No real threat to me yet. Trying to decide how I wanted to play this hand was tricky. I do decide just to do 3, mainly so I can just remove that 3 drop. Like, I just get rid of it out of the way, you know. That 3-2 was going to be a problem. It was going to be a huge chunk of damage. So taking the 10 I'm much more comfortable with because then I can heal out of range of a potential another
Let's
one.
do this right.
And there is 3 Mordecais plus a Ceres. That doesn't really surprise me. And there is another banish, so we did get the optimal play, removing those 3 Mordecais. I couldn't think of anything better to do at this point.
You're mean.
And now we know we've got better cards. Of course, they did drop a Mordecai immediately after, which I found to be a little bit of a problem because now I've got to remove another Mordecai. Luckily, we did have at least a black inscription for this one. Unfortunately, losing the Holy Bowman, both of them. Really unfortunate. If I hadn't have lost those, this matchup would have been a lot easier because I could have then used those plus our massive amounts of healing to, of course, get rid of stuff, which would have been fine. I planned this hand out almost perfectly, being able to get rid of the Mordecai and get a good chunk of damage, 8 damage this turn to their face, which is absolutely massive. So now we were only betting on the fact that they might not have another Mordecai. Fortunately, Sedwin the Eternity Hunter is definitely a card that's going to be trouble. And I'm not sure if I didn't potentially miss lethal here, unfortunately. I think I did the best I could. If I had have got any healing at this point, I would have won the game. I just didn't manage to hit that healing. Because I could have easily used something decent, but unfortunately, we just miss out. But I do get to set up the White Fang Temple, which is great. I just had have wished we had the chance to be able to go for that lethal now. There is the Eternal Potion, and another Mordecai to deal with. Luckily, we had Black Inscripture, but they ended up with 2 Mordecais thanks to So Death 3 Life. And dealing with 2, unfortunately, pretty much impossible for me here. While I could have went face for 2 damage, it just wasn't going to be worth it. So I am forced to take at least a little bit of damage. We do at least have Mordecai within range of his 3rd Black Inscripture. We should have at least 1 more in our deck, I think. We've only used, I think, 2 on the Mordecais, and we used that mass vanish. So all we were really short on is that 1. Again, same situation, really just playing it. Getting the Have Pig out because it becomes both a target to draw damage and it allows us to go face if they leave it available. But they don't, they go for the zombie party play. Really just looking for it. Of course, that's not bad for us. We can pretty easily deal with most of this. And they are limiting their hand now. So they can't have too many cards left. So we just need to be able to deal with this and widen our board. So my idea was that I could pretty much go for lethal from here. All I needed to do was make sure my board was stacked enough that our opponent wasn't able to hit back. Especially with this White Fang Temple, so that's why I wanted to have it procced now. And fortunately with that, unless their draw was really good, isn't going to be enough. So they really need to remove this dragon and at least 1 follower. If they can remove 1 follower and the dragon, they win. Or if they just remove both 2 drops, they pretty much win. But at this point, obviously they couldn't, and that did give us the victory. So while it was a long, drawn-out game, we managed to make it right to the end. So that Mordecai game was definitely one of my favourite games with this deck. Just to come back from that position, clear so many Mordecais, drag the game out, make sure we weren't going to die turn by turn, and really just come out on top was great. But that is why I'm definitely considering another Pure Annihilation. If I notice I'm coming up against a lot of more decks that are just a problem, I will definitely tech one of those in over a Sledgehammer and just run 1 Sledgehammer overall. So if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You will find the deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.